What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the right side of the map in the red color, playing as Thor. As I fix my posture. His name is Shelty, a resident Thor expert, our resident Norse expert even. I want to introduce the other player first. His name is Revan, and he's playing as Hades, and he's in the blue color. I have talked about Revan before in previous games, but for those of you who are uninitiated, Revan is a fellow follower of the Mister. He follows the Mister's footsteps, or in the Mister's footsteps, attempting to perfect what has already been perfected, or more perfect what has already been perfected. I don't know. Anyways, it is Revan, and he is here to say good day. Now, Shelty, on the other hand, I haven't actually seen many games from him thus far in this tournament, but he is a Ninja Warrior candidate. He applied for it. I don't think he ever got in, but he did try out for Ninja Warrior at a time. But more importantly here, he is the Norse expert of old. This guy is possibly the closest to being a Norse championship winner out of anyone in recent memory. I do recall the tournament in question was Champions League. He went 2-3 against Chemo, and Chemo went on to be the victor in the semi-finals of one of the Champions League tournaments. I can't remember if it was two or one of them. And effectively that series was very, very up in the air. Could have gone either way. And Shelty shows that he is on the level of that top level player. Shelty has been showing that he's on that level ever since and also before then. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to come up with in this tournament, especially given it's not random civilization nature of it, but it's you can only pick one civilization, or you can only win with one civilization. And given he's such a versatile player, so good with the Norses, he can play all the other civilizations as well. I've seen him play Egyptian, I've seen him play Greek, I've seen him play Atlantean to a high level. This tournament really does suit him if he can get to those later portions of the tournament where players' god pools are stretched thin. So we'll see how it's going to go. Revan here now, throwing up his temple, grabbing his boar over here as well. It's a bit of an interesting map here. It looks to me very, very similar to Frozen Wastes. This looks to me very, very similar. Apparently that tournament was Skirmishes versus Chemo, and Chemo lost in the finals. Apparently. I mean, I could be talking about a different tournament. Can't remember if that was the one or not. But anyways, point is, this is a map, and it is Frozen Waste without the Frozen Wastes. You can see the gold mines. They're all spawning around the outsides of the map. And this is something that players are going to have to scout incredibly well to recognize, as opposed to Frozen Wastes, where you just know that the gold mines are there. These guys have got no idea. They've got no idea that they have to search on the outsides of the map to get it. You also get on this map you can also actually wall this off. So these gold mines are relatively defendable. So we'll see how it's going to go. We do have Revan looking like he wants to go for a fast town center here. He's grabbing his gold. He's already on two separate wood lines over here, so makes perfect sense. He's going to be attempting to get early gold mines. We've got, don't talk about the relics, I don't know. It's plus 20% building pierce damage here. Arrows of the Alpha. And we've also got at the top here, hard as follow the extra line of sight for your scouts. And finding some pigs here around the edges of the map. As Freya coming through a little bit late here for Shelty, just taking his time in this game as the town center is going to be grabbed. When you go for a far second town center here against Norse, this gives, I've said about it in the last game, but this gives Norse all the opportunity to do whatever they want. So one thing you have to do here, if you're going for a far second town center as Hades, is you have to get out your early Ajax, your early Chiron, move forward and try and get something happening with those early units to slow down your opponent in the early game. There are some boar down the bottom corner of the map. These pigs over here. There's a bear over here. There's not a lot of hunt on this map, so Shelty's going to be struggling a little bit. We do know that Norse players do enjoy having a lot more hunt than everyone else. So Revan's going to be happy about this map, and we'll see what he's going to do with it here as this town center is just about to pop up. The Valkyrie coming in here. There is already a Minotaur here. The question is, does the Minotaur or the Valkyrie win? To me, it looks like it's very, very close. It looks like the Valkyrie will win just based on HP, but going straight after a villager, gets one villager kill in the early game here. Already another villager here going to be starting to run away, and Shelty is not going to allow that villager to retreat here. He's just going to swing around, try and pick this one off. We see the villager dumping that food there, and the Valkyrie just simply to be moving in and out, and there's the Chiron, and that's going to be the cue for Shelty to either allow his Valkyrie to die or retreat, and he chooses the better of the two options, retreating back home. As we see some Hersa coming forward, another barracks coming up for Shelty as the raiding cavalry are going to start streaming through, very similar to last game, and the Chiron's going to be coming through as well. Villagers already eating this boar over here though, so this is a really, really important thing here for Revan. Because of how slow Thor gets going, he's only now getting the 4 raiding cavalry and Valkyrie out. The villager's retreating back here. He's got to be careful about eating these berries, but he does have pigs over here, and he can cast sentinels. But over here, if Shelty doesn't spot this, which he won't have just yet because he hasn't really scouted the map, he's not going to get raided on this location. So no problems here for Revan, as he does drop up a wall, and he's going to be happy about that one there. As we do see the Minotaur spotting these villagers over here. 42 food left. Shelty's not going to be too unhappy about leaving that food. Instead, just saying, all right, no worries. We'll just walk back. You do want to move your villagers away from your ox cart, so they move at 3.8 speed instead of 2.9 speed, but Ursa's coming through to say good day as the raiding cavalry going to be swinging through here. There is forest fire still available, I think, so he's still very big chances here for Revan to lose a lot of villagers. As Revan's now creeping up to a 5 villager advantage, as Shelty hasn't thrown down a town center just yet. He's got his 3 longhouses, only making raiding cavalry from 2 of them, as the raiding cavalry will indeed spot these boar over here as they do come in. Going to start taking them out. We've got raiding cavalry swinging through here as the Chiron does pick off a Valkyrie, but Revan not paying attention. He's going to be losing at least 1 villager here, as that's going to be exactly what Shelty goes for, moving his raiding cavalry away from this location now as the Minotaur does come back. Shelty going to regroup with the rest of his raiding cavalry. Losing that Valkyrie is actually somewhat of a big deal here, as the Katoskopos almost gets taken out there. The reason being is that the medium raiders don't have that much line of sight, so if you run around with a Valkyrie, you can get a lot more line of sight where that's concerned here. As now Shelty's got enough resources to drop that second town center. We'll see if he wants to do that, and he does grab the forward town center here, as Shelty going to be swinging around here again, trying to find some more villager kills. And now, does manage to hit a Minotaur attack. They're going to pick off one of those villagers as well, as now the raiding cavalry have to kind of get out of here as the Minotaur gets a bit of a hack down, but getting a little bit of chip damage from that forest fire as well. I wouldn't say that's the best forest fire in the world, because there's a beautiful amount of wood over here, but nonetheless, Shelty does get himself a villager kill there. Now 8 villagers for Revan. So as opposed to last game, Revan's in a much, much better position than he was. Shelty's going for exactly the same strategy that he went for last game, but really not finding as much advantage here as he was last game, as the raiding cavalry walk straight around here, or run straight around here. Nice micro there from Revan, hitting those, hitting that raiding cavalry away, as we are seeing Shelty taking down Toxotes here one at a time, just chip damage. I love this play from Shelty going after those Toxotes as best as he possibly can. The villagers coming over here. We do see that the raiding cavalry does go down, but not before Toxotes also going down. The Minotaur coming through to get a little bit more damage done. Gotta be careful against that one, because it's going to be a very, very different story here if they start dropping. But there's the town center up for Shelty, as we're at 34 villagers for Shelty to Revan's 46 villagers. Lots of gold in the bank for Revan. Revan has to start throwing up his farms, and Shelty's doing exactly the same. So this is a scary situation to be in for Shelty, considering he's choosing to do this strategy. So Revan's just going to sit in his base, and he's attempting to essentially take this game late game. So everything is on Shelty to try and pressure this gold mine and prevent Revan from getting this gold mine, and also prevent this gold mine from being grabbed up here. The problem is, I can't tell you, but the problem is for certain. I can't tell you for certain, but the problem is Thor doesn't have good scouting. Thor might not even know there's a gold mine over here. Might not even fully understand what sort of a map has spawned here. Like, he gets that there's nothing around the outside, but that's about it. As Shelty attempting to put up a Dwarven armory on the front here, as the Hearse are going to come through and take out the Minotaur. The raiding cavalry swinging in here to try and get around the back of these units here to see if he can prevent the escape. Very, very nice micro here from Shelty sneaking in. There's the Sentinels getting dropped. There is access to a restoration here, and that's exactly what Revan is going to be doing, forcing that one out. And the armory here is still not up. Shelty losing a couple more infantry units here, and Revan does defend that one nicely. Very confused as to why Shelty felt it was necessary to put the armory here, but he does chuck it up. And there is Revan going through Aphrodite. We see Aphrodite, we see Skadi. I am not 100% sure about Aphrodite here. I've seen people go for Aphrodite with Poseidon because you have to. But with Hades and also with Zeus, the option here is most of the time to go through Apollo. Reason being is you get access to the temple healing, which helps a lot for your myth units, and also anything else. It's a small reason, but the bigger reason is Underworld is vitally important here to try and force a defensive frost. That's what you want out of this. If you get frosted on your villages plus on your army, things can be very, very difficult here, as the raiding cavalry are making their way up to the top side of the map here. They're checking out the Tantata. This is very, very dangerous for Revan. These villages are in absolute no man's land here, as Shelty is searching around in the darkness. You can tell he's got no idea what's up here, and he is just blindly searching, trying to find this gold mine. And they're just going to hang out, and they might find this. They might not be very, very quiet here as Shelty moves just around those villages. That is the scariest thing ever if you were those Creek villagers. But Revan gets away with murder there, as both players now in the heroic age. Shelty with good resources coming in. Question is, does Shelty realize how good this upgrade is? You want to rush it as fast as you possibly can. We are seeing heavy raiders coming in, or heavy cavalry coming in, I should say, for Shelty. So he's going to value that over getting Winter Harvest. But Winter Harvest is a peak important upgrade to get super early in the heroic age here for Thor and for Odin when they go through Skadi. But he hasn't grabbed it just yet. He's got a little bit of favor in the bank as well, so he can get it now, but he's not prioritizing that just yet. Losing a little bit of HP here as we see irrigation coming through for Revan. The raiding cavalry now moving into the main base of Revan, just kind of ignoring those towers in a big way. These raiding cavalry do so much damage. You can't really turn around and fight them here. You have to run for the towers, as we see a defensive curse being dropped. That is seven pigs here, as the raiders are just basically getting sacked here by Shelty. Gets a lot of damage done onto the economy, but the return damage is done, and Revan's got to be happy about that one. Trying to push in onto this location, losing those units as well, as Shelty is buckling under the apparent pressure that he needs to be dealing with, as we see now a beautiful Nemean Lion raid coming in onto Shelty's dwarves here, as Revan is finding himself in an incredibly strong position here, as Shelty has to retreat back. He's getting out all of those frost giants, though. He's still not paying attention to the Nemean Lion that is currently raiding his gold mine, getting villager kills over and over again. Multiple usage of the Nemean Lion special ability here, as now Shelty going to be sending his frost giant over here to deal with said Nemean Lion. We'll see if Revan is going to notice this one and make a run for it or not. So we will be seeing a beautiful micro here from Shelty, but not fast enough, as he loses yet another dwarf. And we do see the shaft mine coming in. The villager here retreating back onto the gold mine, and the Nemean Lion does indeed get frozen here, as Shelty is still scratching his head about where could Revan be mining gold from. And he comes up to this top location. Oh, he sees the gold mine. Does he see the villagers? Yes, he does. There's only 4 villagers here now, though, so they're all going to get picked off here. These raiding cavalry are speedy boys, 6.0 speed, and do a lot of damage with the heavy upgrades. And we are now seeing Revan going through Artemis. This is a very, very tense period right now for Revan. He's got a pretty big timing window to play with. He's got all of his villagers on this gold mine. There is still frost to be used, though, for Shelty, and Shelty knows that he needs to get this down. But look at this, 29 villagers on this gold mine and the army in range here. Shelty is going to be attempting. If he spots this is instant frost. That is so much economic damage here as a raiding cavalry moving through the main base of Revan here. He's going to notice the market and see if he'll work out that there's a Mythic Age coming or not. Obviously, Shelty is looking to go to the Mythic Age himself. We'll see if he wants to go through Tyr or Balder here. I think that Balder would be a perfectly valid option. We obviously know no trade route just yet, and he does pick Balder as well, as the units now moving forward here for Shelty, as the Artemis is getting very, very close. Going to be losing the Frost Giant here as the raiding cavalry swinging around. There is the Minotaur remaining here in this location, as we see the town center getting grabbed by Shelty on this location here. As the units moving forward, will we see the Earthquake over here straight away? The Shade moving in, and we see the Earthquake on the main base here, removing, not only preventing the Mythic Age to come through for Shelty, but also preventing these villagers from gathering efficiently now, because there's no town center to drop the food into. As the raiders sitting over here, we will be seeing the frost on this location here, as a whole bunch of Ulfsark get converted here to rebuild everything, as the houses need to come back up. Shelty is at 130 of 65 population here, as the town center does get denied here. No Frost Giants to deal with this Chimera just yet, but the raiding cavalry attempting to retreat back here as the Chimera returns back to make sure this town center doesn't go up. The raiding cavalry coming back to try and pick these units off over here. How much gold is left in this gold mine? He's got 3,000 gold. We've got heavy infantry, heavy archers, flood control coming through for Revan. Revan playing this game incredibly well here, as the raiders are coming through to try and take these ones out. This is big for Shelty. He needs to get as much damage done as he possibly can, as his Mythic Age timing is very much off here. And Shelty has started a couple of those ox caravans right now as well. So that's going to be a big help for him. He's got one at the moment, going to be wanting a few more here, as their town center is still not up. We do see some villagers getting taken out over here by the Frost Giant. The villagers over here getting prevented from taking that town center for themselves here, as it's currently 2 town centers apiece. Big advantage, though, for Revan, but there is still a Ragnarok to come. Bronze Mail of Thor coming through. What are the armory upgrades actually looking at? We still don't have some incredibly good upgrades here for Shelty, as he's now getting his bronze shields, trying to grab this town center over here, but there's already a Chimera, but the Chimera gets spotted here, and that's going to be a dead Chimera. Nice play from Shelty, as he's going to be attempting to grab this town center. Yet again, we do see the Achilles over here, going to be trying to take down this Frost Giant. And Shelty has now got himself a Fire Giant on this position as well. He's got himself 5 Ox Caravans here, as the Ulfsark coming up to deal with this. The Chimera can never escape from a Frost Giant so long as the Frost Giant continues to attack it. Who wins this fight is actually a relatively interesting question. Looks like the Ulfsark wins that with 5 HP, as a couple more Toxoid is going to be getting trained out of this location. The Fire Giant retreating away, a little bit scared of the Chiron there. Needs a couple more units to deal with this one here, as Shelty continuing along. We are seeing champion infantry coming through for Revan, and we'll see how all-in Shelty is going to want to be with this Ragnarok is the real big question. Does he go for more of a boomy Ragnarok, where you're trying to set up buildings all over the map? What exactly is the option here? Is these Ox Caravans actually getting taken out here? Is Shelty's market placement is very, very poorly placed here. We do see the random Toxoid does come out of that location over there, as the Fire Giant going to be getting taken out by the Achilles and the Chiron. Shelty struggling a lot here to stay afloat, as Revan is applying pressure nicely. He's getting his third town center up. He can come over onto this gold mine and live the dream where that's concerned. The villagers, not the villagers, the Ulfs are getting harassed down right now as there's only one left. There's a couple more units coming in to harass here, as well as the Ajax. Preventing this town center from going up is such a big move here, as we see fortified town centers, iron shields coming through as well for Shelty. But champion infantry is on the way for Revan, and if you have any idea how strong champion infantry is with the pacifist versus those rag heroes, and you know that this is going to be a tough one for Shelty to win here, as we are seeing. Look at that, the Gastrofeeder coming out to put a stop to this town center from going up. He doesn't yet have himself burning pitch, but it's still going to be doing enough damage here, as Shelty still can't get himself his third town center. The Ragnarok does decide to be clicked here, as more units going to be making their way up to this top side of the map here to get himself this town center up. Decent resources in the bank for Shelty. The gold mine has expired, so this is going to be the gold mine of choice, but there are only 2 gold mines here for Revan, and Revan's only got 122 gold in the bank right now. So this Ragnarok couldn't have been better timed right now for Shelty. He's got every chance at hitting some sort of a gold starve, as now we see Shelty move in. See, there's no gold remaining. We're going to see the units moving up to the top side of the map, going to try and take down this town center. He should be going to this gold mine immediately, though, as we see the town center getting shot up over here, as the fire giant going to be dealing with some of these units. He finds himself a chimera here to deal with, as the ox carts, I should say, getting taken out as well, as there's only one ox caravan remaining, which is a very, very sad state of affairs indeed, as the village is going to be returning over here to try and repair this one back up. It's going to be potentially too slow here, but we do have masons and fortified town centers, as Shelty is attempting to finish this one off. The villagers repairing this up as fast as they possibly can, as the town center does go down. The heroes of Ragnarok are now going to start taking out all of these villagers that are on this gold. And Revan now, 125 of 140 population, no gold remaining. Gold cut at this point. He does have a market. He can be trading a little bit, but man, Ragnarok, click the button and win the game. Is that true yet again? We'll have to wait and see here, as those champion pacifists are out. And look at that, he's got iron mail and bronze weapons. Completely aware that Norse has no pierce damage. He has got nothing to worry about in terms of that pierce armor. Just putting everything into those big ticket upgrades to try and defend the Ragnarok here. Shelty does have enough resources to grab this town center if he so chooses, and I think it would be a good idea to do that, to just get kind of line of sight of this gold mine, maybe dropping down a longhouse over here as well, just to make sure it doesn't get taken. As now Shelty pushing in to the Hades main base, trying to take down all the units he possibly can, taking out as many villagers as he possibly can here, as the villagers wandering forward here. There are a handful of raiding cavalry here, but this is actually a decent fight on this front here to deal with these units, and we'll see if this is going to work or not, as we do see a chimera swinging around the back, the frost giant using his special ability here, so the chimera can actually deal with this one nicely, as the army here of Shelty does indeed have to retreat. The Ragnarok heroes here might decide to retreat away, as Shelty needs to regroup his army, prevent that gold income from coming through, to prevent more pacifist from coming out here, as now Shelty is starting to produce his villagers, and this is looking like a potential hold here for Revan. Anytime you can, I mean, maybe a hold, maybe not, who knows. It's very, very close, especially because the gold can get cut here, but we'll see if Shelty can get over here and utilize his rag heroes well enough, or if these pacifists are going to be strong enough here, as he does turn around, taking this fight, more units swinging around, but you do have to get onto those villages as fast as you possibly can. There is some form, I would say there's some form of fire giant forward, but I don't see much gold in the bank here, as 2 fire giants are going to be wandering forward to try and push off of this gold mine, as the heroes of Ragnarok getting kind of taken out here, as basically Shelty should retreat until he has the fire giant here, because the fire giant take down these pacifists incredibly fast. Pushing it onto this location with those rag heroes is really, really critical, as Revan going to be pulling back, making sure he doesn't lose too many villages. Might sneak up onto this gold mine yet again. There are a handful of units on this location, making dwarves over here onto this gold mine as well, as Revan continuing to flood those Hypaspist in, and this game might be far from over here, ladies and gentlemen. Revan's at 82 of 140 population. Shelty is at 114 of 112 population. If we check this button, there is still room to sell resources and get gold and continue to make units here for Revan if he can just gather the resources. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot left in his base that's safe. But Shelty's got no pushing power anymore, and there's also Perseus out. So Perseus is going to be able to one-bang those heroes, so you have to be really, really careful. He's got decent range as well. Oh, I tell a lie, he's got 5 range. Not decent range, but he's a bit speedier. No, is he speedier? No, he is a bit speedier than the Fire Giants, who's going to attempt to chase them down. And now Revan can move back up here. Will be spotted by the throwing axemen that are sitting here. Going to get a couple of villager kills here. We'll see if a couple of units make their way up onto this location or not here, as Revan trying to grab this gold mine. It's definitely the right move. Grab all these heroes of Ragnarok, send them up to the top side of the map. That's exactly what Shelty is going to be doing, as Shelty retreating his throwing axemen away. And we will be seeing those Hypaspist looking for something to take down here, as the villager production is on the way as fast as it possibly can be here. Revan's going to get caught out yet again. If he loses all these villages, we get closer and closer to an equal point here in this game. And I mean, it's not like it's a Zeus versus Norse, where Zeus can make Myrmidon. It can be really, really tough, but it is still going to be a tough situation for Shelty to be in, as the Perseus is awfully good at dealing with those Fire Giant here, as the villagers getting pushed back. The Ragnarok heroes do come in onto this position, will be taking out these villagers yet again. More villagers over onto this gold mine yet again, as Revan checking out here to see if there's any villagers on this position here, but says nope, none there. And now Revan making his way up here to try and defend his own villagers. Both players hurting for population. It's currently 117 to 95, as more villagers are falling for both players. Shelty spots the army, says no, I'm not going to engage there, just going to keep on going for the raids, keep on attempting to make units here, as now we see Revan moving over here into this bottom corner of the map with his units, going to potentially swing around onto this other gold mine as the units are engaging again. Shelty a little bit too overzealous here, as the villagers going to be moving back up to the top gold mine here. The big difference right now is that Shelty's got 3 town centers. Revan's only got 2, so it's not as easy as you might think. And Shelty's got a ton of food in the bank as well, thanks to winter harvest and irrigation, and tons of villagers on food. So he could be spamming out ox caravans right now and getting that gold income up, because right now he's spending a lot of that on dwarves, and he doesn't have the gold that he needs really at this point. As you see the 26-minute, 58-second Vault of Erebus coming through. A classic. One hero of Ragnarok going to come in here to try and harass these villagers nicely. There's a couple of low HP villagers, and the hero of Ragnarok just does so much damage. So we'll indeed pick off a couple of villagers here nicely, as these stray Hypaspis are getting pushed back. We do see some Toxotes going to come over onto this gold mine and start harassing this one, as both players getting targeted down on their resources is going to be a very, very difficult thing to overcome, as the Toxotes are in here, the dwarves getting targeted down. Shelty is 100% going to be just simply retreating away here. He does have 265 gold left in his base, not a whole lot. There are still a handful of Hypaspis on this gold mine here, as the Toxotes come in with the assistance of the Hypaspis. Means that's going to be enough to make Shelty retreat here, but Shelty does have to be careful. There is still that Perseus here, and guys, everyone tells me Perseus is weak, but he is showing up in this game in a big way, as we see the heroes of Ragnarok coming back over here to try and take out these units here. I think this is enough to deal with those Hypaspis. Maybe not. The villagers getting pulled off to deal with the throwing axemen, as it does seem like a handful of villagers and a Hypaspis, or 3, is enough to deal with all of those units here, as Shelty has to move elsewhere to get his gold income. Basically, at this point, what Shelty needs is raiding cavalry. He needs raiding cavalry to deal with the Hypaspis, the Toxotes, but there is this world where Revan is actually already trying to move into hoplites to predict that, which is a good idea here, as the Fire Giants popping out here. We will be seeing the throwing axemen trying to target this one down, but look at that, the Perseus just retreats back. And it's actually an interesting comment here on keeping your Perseus safe using speed walking tactics to move in, hit that petrify ability, and then zoom away. But it is like a long time for this to kind of come out here. Will we see those throwing axemen targeting down the Perseus? Yes, we are. He has to do this one quickly as the Perseus does turn around. Will indeed hit that frost giant here, and Shelty's just not able to make any ground with these throwing axemen. As we see also the Gastrophetes coming in here, and Revan gets a win here with some incredibly clutch defensive maneuvering here with the Hades against the Thor. There's a couple of things that could have gone incredibly south here for Revan. For example, Frost onto this location when there was an army here and an army here, and he could have hit 30 villagers on this and the army, and that would have been devastating. The hitting the town center, had Shelty been in this town center, potentially would have been able to go for an earlier Ragnarok, maybe more all in, but maybe more damage kind of style. Maybe had Shelty started a better trade route over here, had those 5 ox caravan coming out from this bottom corner away from danger. Could have been having 5 ox caravans during his Ragnarok and then starting a bigger trade route straight away with all that food he had in the bank to really get that boom happening again so that he could make raiding cavalry. Could have been another idea, but honestly, Revan just showing up in this game, and this is the beautiful nature of these tournaments, is anyone can beat anyone, and that's exciting. And he's leveling the series. We go to a game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.